morning's Talking Points memo. As you may know, President Obama does not want to cut one government program. Not one. And that irresponsible position has brought scorn from me. Here are the facts. Right now, the federal government is spending close to $10 billion a day. This year, it will spend $3.6 trillion. The government is expected to take in $2.7 trillion in taxes. So let's do the math here. 2.7, leaving a deficit this year alone of $900 billion, which will then be added to the nearly $17 trillion debt. Democratic Party doesn't seem to care. And liberal Americans are putting all of us in danger by their inflexibility on the spending issue. Republican Senator Tom Coburn estimates that the feds could save almost $300 billion a year simply by cutting out waste and duplicate programs. Now let's get very specific for you doubters out there. Very specific. Please consider these facts. Am I being nice? The National Institutes of Health recently awarded $1.5 million to a Boston hospital to study why many lesbians are overweight and most gay men are not. The Fed's calling this a significant public health issue. Are you kidding me? Why am I paying for that? Let the overweight lesbians go to Weight Watchers if they want to, like everybody else. Here's another one. NASA will spend close to $1 million researching a, quote, Mars menu, recipes for food that could someday be served on the planet Mars. Here's a bulletin. Whoever allotted that money is already living on Mars. That's insane. I don't want to pay for it. The feds are stealing my tax dollars. Another one, sure. The United States Agency for International Development funding a 4-year project that will improve the economic competitiveness of Morocco. Morocco, the country in North Africa. Key part of this project, training Moroccans to design pottery. The cost to we, the American people, $27 million. Why can't the Moroccan government teach their own people to design pottery? I'll tell you why. Because we'll send them $27 million. That's why. And very little pottery will be designed. The money will likely be stolen. One more? Sure. I have dozens. The National Science Foundation has allocated more than $500,000 to create a video game called Prom Week. This game will give players a chance to relive their high school prom. Why is the National Science Foundation doing this? Quote, because it will give Americans a new and powerful mode of personal expression. Here's my personal expression. This is madness. This is why the federal government under President Obama is totally out of control. Yet the president doesn't want to cut any federal programs. Shameful. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, the return of the now very famous Alan Colmes. Near the
not true. This is the slowest rate of spending since Eisenhower. The deficit is actually not increased under Obama. The debt has, but not the deficit.
Welcome back to the 5. All right, well, we're broke, but the spending binge continues in Congress. Just today, we found out that GDP has exceeded, debts exceeded GDP, and we're in debt a record $15 trillion. Now, our good friend Bob Beckel likes to say over and over that deficits don't matter, but I would argue, Bob, that deficits matter in Greece. Don't you think?
Yeah, but
we're going down the road.
Does Greece matter in the scheme of the world?
Yes.
Sorry, you picked something right down the middle.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
The birthplace of democracy is about to melt down the West.
And
now you've done it.
From there?
Now you've done
it. He was, right? I think he was. Yes. Look, when I say the debt doesn't matter, I'll repeat this again. I want somebody, not with all this crying thing about my kids and my grandkids. You tell me today, this day, exactly what is about this debt that did you damage economically?
Can I?
Yeah.
He got it.
Today, you in your pocket.
the
Your
answer.
pocket.
Well, nothing happens today, just like last night's Iowa vote won't affect your pocket or your president 8 months from now. What it does do, though, is it puts us so. Think about this for 1 second. China has no debt. Their debt to GDP is zero because they run a surplus. We're indebted to China. We're indebted to sovereign countries in the Middle East.
You haven't answered my question.
Well, allow me to. If China ever said, Bob, Obama, guess what? We don't want to get 3% for our money anymore. We want to get 6%, or God forbid, 10%. We would go belly up, bankrupt, broke, and we'd have to say, China, please don't do this. We'll do anything for you.
The best-selling financial instrument in the world today is the U.S. Treasury bond.
Because of them. Because they haven't done that.
Okay,
they can pull the trigger overnight.
We're not on the subject. It's another subject.
We're very far in debt, and we've also spent, now the taxpayers, you've been spending $250,000 on these Chevy Volts that now got the worst